Back at home now, there's some data and polling numbers that show Peter Dutton really could be our next Prime Minister. To discuss this and a whole lot more, the Herald Sun's James Campbell joins me now. James, welcome to the program this evening. You've been having a very deep look into Redbridge polling numbers and have written about it, saying that the results are fascinating. Tell us more about what these numbers show in this polling and why they are good news for Peter Dutton.
Okay, so Redbridge a few weeks ago did a massive poll of people by class, age, demographic, education, religion, and they asked them a whole bunch of things, including voting intention and how they identified themselves conservative or progressive. So it segmented those voters, basically working out, which groups were where, and then it mapped those people across the electorates. So they're not individual, they're not polls of the electorates per se. They're a giant sample which gives you an accurate view of these different types of people, and then it mapped them over the electorate. So you can see how these people in those seats are more likely to vote. And it's a really, really bad situation for the Labor Party, this. First of all, you see in Victoria and New South Wales, enormous numbers of seats are now at risk of falling to Dutton. But more interestingly, I think, what the polling showed is that enormous numbers of seats in both New South Wales and Victoria, almost enough to get him to government on their own, these two states. There are people who self-identify as way to the right of centre, and many of them are living in seats which are presently held by the Labor Party, i.e. the Labor Party is kind of outperforming where it should be based on the way these voters see themselves. Now, what's really interesting about it is that these seats and the way they drift to the right, according to this polling, very, very close to the way the electorate map that you get that we got from The Voice in 2023. So this is no good for the government.
well, no, it doesn't sound like it's good because, up until now, James, the conventional wisdom that you heard around Canberra was, look, Labor will scrape back in, but it'll be a minority government. But if you look at The Voice, again, that was a big 60-40 resounding no to the government on their signature policy for that first year of their government. I mean, are we talking about those sorts of numbers? I mean, it could be as catastrophic for Labor as that?
No, not. I wouldn't have thought 60-40. That would be existential. That would be career-ending. That would be an extinction event for the Australian Labor Party. I don't think we're looking at that. But what we are looking at, if you talk to pollsters, as I do for my sins, I talk to a lot of pollsters, and one of the things that pollsters tend to agree on is that the quant follows the qual, right? So what that means is how people say they're going to vote that pollsters pick up tends to follow what they're saying in focus groups. The focus groups are ahead of the quant, right?
Right.
So if you say if there's hostility being picked up towards a politician in focus groups, it mightn't show up for 6, 8, 2 months, James, 2 months later. But
what are the issues that are coming up in these focus groups? Have pollsters told you what are the things that people are really concerned about that the government simply isn't performing on?
Cost of living.
Cost of living.
They've never seen anything like it. Cost of living's always high, but it's never ever been so salient. But what they're saying to me is that we can see from the polling that the quant is getting worse for the government, right? It's been getting worse consistently for months now. But when you talk to the pollsters and you say, is the qual getting worse? Is it is that lag indicator? Is the polling as a lag indicator indicating? Sorry, too many indicators. That this is going to get worse for them, and they all say, yeah, it is. Like if what they're hearing in the focus groups flows through into the quant, it's getting worse. In other words, the best time for Anthony Albanese to have an election was 3 months ago, and the next best time is as soon as possible, because it's just getting worse for the government.
Well, this is the thing that I've made the point a number of times on this program and in the Daily Telegraph, is that, you know, they're on a slow altitude loss course here. Would an interest rate cut in February, would that just be too little too late? Would that do anything to turn this narrative around for the government?
Well, I've been of the view for some time that it's too late for an interest rate cut to have any impact for the government. In fact, it may even have a negative impact for the government, because at the moment, interest rate cuts are something that people can look forward to. Oh, well, things are going to be all right when the interest rate cuts start. They're going to get an interest rate cut, maybe. It takes 3 months for an interest rate cut to flow through to people's bank accounts. And when they get it, it's not going to be very much. So they're going to be like, oh, really? Now I'm still in deep trouble here. You know, yeah, it's come down a bit, but it's still much higher than it was 2 or 3 years ago. I've run through my savings. No, I don't think interest rate cuts now can do them much good. It's too little too late.
James Campbell, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time.